I'm Anne-Marie from brambleberry.com. We have a lot of customers that are small business customers, and you guys have been asking questions on our social pages and on our videos about some, well, small business questions, and I'm here to answer them today. So Yuri Len said, when starting a business, how do we choose our target market? How do we know who is the most likely to buy handmade soap from us? Oh, that's a great question. So first of all, you choose your target market based on what you're interested in and what your values are. So your target market will find you based on your story, based on your ingredients, based on your point of view. So if you really love essential oils and you're really passionate about organic and you're passionate about only shopping within, say, 150 miles and only using like fair trade products, that's gonna be a certain type of customer that's really gravitating towards you. Or if you're really into kids soaps and you just want to make fruity, fun soaps for kids because you experienced the fact that your toddlers hated bathing unless they had soap that was brightly colored and smelled really great, well, that's going to attract a totally different kind of customer. So really, you're asking the wrong question. What you should be asking is, who am I as a person? Who am I as a company? And what do I want to represent? In 10 years, who is the company I want to become? What is the company I want to become? And what steps do I have to take right now to create that company? And that's going to determine who's going to buy your soap. It's really about you, your story, and your point of view. So if you want to read a great book to kind of get your brain kind of started around that, I would read Purple Cow by Seth Godin. It's a great, solid, standard marketing book about what makes you stand out. And then you might also consider Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which is all about the why behind what you do and how you do it. And so both of those would be really good books for you to read as you're starting your business. Congrats on starting your business. It's such a fun thing to do. Danny O'Cow says, yay! How can a soap maker stand out in a market that's saturated with soap makers who all have access to the same ingredients and supplies? Thank you. Love you to bits, Anne-Marie. Yay, thank you. I love you guys back. I can't believe I get to do this for work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So how do you stand out in a market that has lots of soap? Well, first of all, great news. Handmade soap only has 3% of the market max. Do you know who you're actually competing against? You're really competing against the Procter & Gamble's and L'Oreal's of the world. You're not competing against other small handmade soapers out there. You're really not. You're competing against the person that wants to spend the $3 or the $5 for the synthetic detergent bar because it's convenient for them. So first thing, you can definitely stand out against that, right? Your ingredients are superior, your practices are superior, supporting small business helps to support local communities, you're more eco-conscious. I mean, you name it, you can compete against that. But you very specifically said, how do I make myself stand out when it's the same sea of soaps on Etsy? You do that through a couple things. One, it's your branding, which really goes back to your story. What is your story and what makes you different? People buy from people they like, people buy from people they trust, people buy from people they identify with. So getting your story really down and really making sure that you stand out because of who you are and what makes you special is what's going to make you stand out, what makes someone buy from you versus someone else. There are scores of very successful businesses that I've watched start at brambleberry.com that now make literally millions of dollars a year. And it wasn't because they had something amazing or unique or figured out how to make coconut oil do different things in the soap. It's because they had a great story and then they consistently portrayed that message to their customers with everything they did. Their brand was consistent, their voice and tone was consistent, they had their mission statement very clearly, and they didn't deviate from those brand values and those mission values. And that's what gets loyal customers each and every time. Another thing to think about is what sort of line extensions can you do that haven't been done? And I know you're like, it's soap. What more is there to do? But like, for example, I just saw the other day on Instagram, literally a candle that smells like tennis balls. Now, I wouldn't have ever thought that a candle that smells like tennis balls has any sort of market until I screenshot it, I sent it to someone, and they said, oh my goodness, I bet there's a lot of white space in sporting goods stores. They don't sell candles. And I was like, right. So this company that's designed a candle that smells like tennis balls now is going to have their pick of all the sporting goods stores in America and all the tennis clubs in America because they're the only ones doing what they do. There's another soap out there that I just saw that has a Star Wars theme line. Did they get a license from Star Wars? Yeah, they did. But they're still the only ones that have that license. So believe it or not, you can always niche down or find another thing to sell to based on your hobbies and your interests. I bet the company that decided to do the tennis candles, tennis ball candles, I bet they play tennis and they realized that there was an opening in the market. The company that did the Star Wars thing, I bet they are pretty big Star Wars fans and realized that there would be some sort of market. So, and I mean, let's not forget Gwyneth Paltrow and her very famous line of candles. Like, there is a market and there is a niche just for you and what you're interested in, what you're passionate about. Okay, Kelly B says, how do you decide which products and recipes and tricks or tips to copyright and trademark? Besides the obvious, the logo, the company name, the base soap recipe. Thanks for doing another Q&A. I've been following for over 9 years. First of all, thanks for following. That makes me feel great. So yeah, intellectual property, it's a whole ball of wax. My general rule of thumb is trademarking the logo and your company name makes a lot of sense. But for catchphrases, like for example, I say happy soaping. I've never tried to trademark that ever. Handmade is best made. I think I have a trademark on that, but I've never used it. So I'm going to end up losing that trademark if I don't use it for something. I wrote a book called How to Live Your Best Day Ever, and available on Amazon and at independent booksellers everywhere. And I got a trademark on Best Day Ever in paper products and in t-shirts. And I bet you're thinking to yourself, well, I see that phrase everywhere on everything. Anne-Marie must be making a fortune. I am not actually swimming in all my nickels because it turns out it's really hard to defend trademarks. Like, so hard. And those people that use that phrase are using it as a decorative mark, and it turns out the trademark office won't actually do much about that. And so it's really difficult to defend a trademark that's much past your name and your logo. So I would do name and logo, make sure that IP is locked up. And then as for copyrights, you know, Brambleberry makes our own molds, and we have a designer, and then we make our own dyes, and then we produce the molds, and sometimes we do see knockoffs. We do have copyrights on every single piece of art, which is what the soap mold is, of our soap molds specifically, so we can ask people that have knocked us off to quit doing it and have some legal justification for doing that. But unless you have something that's that type of thing, like a specific soap product or a specific soap mold, or a specific piece of artwork, that's the only time you'd ever get a copyright. And as for your base recipe, you can't copyright that and you can't trademark that. And so that actually is out there for the taking. There's no intellectual property that's going to protect that. Intellectual property can get really expensive. So being very thoughtful about how you go about it is important, because you have to defend those trademarks every 5 years, which means cha-ching, cha-ching, more money goes to doing that. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about kind of like stacking up trademarks. Okay, Della K. Bath is asking, what things did you make to promote yourself in the beginning? Oh, well, I will tell you that in the beginning, what I did is not going to work for you now, because AOL chat rooms, not around anymore, and Yahoo chat rooms, also not around for you anymore. But what I did in the beginning was I created great content in the sense that I was always helping people how to learn to make soap, and I was always providing advice and recipes for free. So what does that mean for you? I'm assuming you're not helping people learn how to make soap. I'm assuming you're actually selling them soap. You know, you can still create great content out there for people. So if you're making soap, I would literally be writing blog posts and doing little reels and doing YouTube videos about what's in your soap and what makes your soap better than the synthetic detergent bars. I'd be doing a focus on ingredients. I would be doing a focus on vendors. I'd be doing a customer of the month. I would be talking about your processes. I would be thinking about what sort of content can I provide to make my product more attractive, and so that customers learn about me, get to know me better, and then buy more from me. So that's the way I'd be promoting myself. Another really great way to do it is always through farmers markets. It's always through craft shows. Nothing hones your message more and gets you really passionate about your products than standing up for 8 hours and talking to people about your products. First of all, it'll be the fastest 8 hours you've ever spent, especially with a cup of coffee and lots of people coming by the booth. And second of all, you'll get really good at answering a lot of questions and figuring out what your customer wants from you. And maybe it's something you have, or maybe it's something you can create. So really honing your skills at craft shows and farmers markets is another great way to promote yourself. And yes, have that little email sign up list right there so you can make sure to capture their email addresses so that you can market to them later. T Madden NS says the best revenue stream to see profit, farmers markets and wholesale don't seem profitable. Wow, well, okay, those are two totally different revenue streams, like completely different, right? One, you're selling this for $12 at the farmer's market, or you're selling this for $6 over here wholesale. So they're two totally different revenue models. So you're not profitable at either, which makes me wonder if you're not profitable, it's because something is wrong in the cost structure. You're either buying, like say you're buying sample sizes and they're just too small, and so you're paying too much per ounce for your products. Or are you not pricing correctly? Like, are you maybe pricing your products too low? That's really where I'd be actually thinking about. Because if you're not profitable selling at farmers markets, where you own 100% of this price, and you're also not profitable selling wholesale, then I'd be looking at the overall cost structure. How much is it costing you to make a bar? And realigning your pricing with that. I buy handmade soap every single month, and I routinely pay up to $18 per bar of soap. And I 100% know that you can be profitable at that price. Now, when you sell to a wholesaler, well, you're selling all of these bars. And so your average order size is bigger, but your profits are 50% less, or rather your gross profit is 50% less. So they're two totally different business kind of scenarios and take two totally different pricing structures and how you're going to deal with them. The easiest way for a small business to get started is by, for sure, farmers markets and craft shows and Etsy and selling off your own website. So you do have higher margins to start with. And then you add wholesale after that. If you happen to get lucky enough and walk into a retail store in your town and they want to buy from you, that's great. For sure, 100%. Do that, because that way, hopefully people will see your label and then buy from you at the farmer's market. But definitely the easiest way to get started is through that face-to-face contact with your customer, and through selling on your own website and through selling on Etsy. Wholesale is awesome for growing your business, and it also is a totally different animal than selling direct to consumer. Sinquette asks, when selling soaps, can you sell a soap you made from a recipe you found online? Or does your recipe have to be 100% original? Oh, this is a great question, because I create a ton of recipes, right? I've written 3 books. We've got the In the Studio tab at brambleberry.com that has hundreds of cold process recipes. Of course, I used to blog at soapqueen.com almost every day, and that also has hundreds of cold process recipes, and I created those recipes for you. I want you to soap with them. I want you to learn from them. And yes, you can absolutely sell your products that you make from the recipes you get from me, for sure, 100%. One thing to keep in mind though is if you're getting recipes online, one, test them, right? Make sure they're decent. 2, don't use anybody else's photos. So like, yes, use the recipe, but like, take your own photos. And then 3, if you're really like super inspired by it and you want to give a shout out to the person online or on your Instagram page, or if you're doing a YouTube video about it, sure, give credit to the recipe. This was inspired by Swifty Crafty Monkey, like that type of thing. Shout out to Swifty Crafty Monkey for inspiring my shampoo bar recipe recently, for example. Thank you so much for watching and asking business questions. I love talking business, and I'm always happy to talk. So ask more questions below, ask more questions on any videos. The Ask Anne-Marie videos do come up pretty frequently. And if you haven't read my book, How to Live Your Best Day Ever, it truly does have my entire business and life philosophy encapsulated in that book. So that might be another good place to get more kind of inspiration for business and for life. And until next time, happy soaping.